to the Super Lessons F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
And my name is Zach.
Zach, it's taken us 10 years and about 20 minutes to get to this point with audio problems. You might have heard me there desperately clicking the button trying to play the intro music, but we got here. We're here.
I think it's been, I think we should maybe just de-evolve our setups and just go back to recording in the voice memos app on our iPhones. In person as well.
I remember buying, well, look, yeah. It's between the time of the last episode and this one, technically we turned 10. So this is a 10th birthday party for the podcast officially. So we've got some stuff that we want to cover. But if you want to dive straight into it, I do remember specifically buying an app to record ourselves on our phones. And then I paid for the upgrade so that I could sync it to Dropbox instead of having to email it to you. That was that's $2 that I'll never get back.
Do you remember the name of this app? Why was it not just voice memos?
It was early days of the App Store, so it was definitely like iVoice Pro Plus or something.
Yes, iVoice Pro X.
Yes, mobile, something like that.
Yeah, mobile, iPad friendly. I had a question because I'm not sure if we ever did this. Did you ever buy one of those iRig plug-in mics for your iPhone? Was it you? Maybe it was because there was a lot of this plug your electronic guitar. Electronic guitar?
Well,
no one calls them that. Electric guitar. Let me get my electronic guitar.
So let me tell you something. I've got an iRig and I tried to play it probably 4 days ago. I busted out my old $5 guitar for the first time in probably a year. Plug the old iRig into the guitar, plug the old iRig adapter into the lightning adapter, and it turns out those things don't work. They don't adapt to what I wanted, which was my bad guitar playing into fuzzy iPhone affected goodness, but it wouldn't do it. So no dice. Guitar goes away while I find another solution to do that.
That's the only thing stopping you.
It is
from being a YouTube sensation. Sensation? Probably YouTube sensation.
Constantly
Look, I feel vindicated by having in future going back to a lower fi setup because all the TikToks I watch are people with earpods, Apple headphones, and the little white mic holding them up to their mouths. And I'm like, that little white mic is unbeaten. Every pair of headphones I've had after those, has nowhere near has the mic quality been nearly as good as just that little guy.
So I've heard, I've watched many hours of people doing reviews of headphones and mics and all kinds of audio gear, and I've heard reliably that the worst mic you can imagine that has a wire is better than the most expensive wireless mic. It's just in the consumer grade stuff. So there you go. There's a pro tip from a couple of pro podcasters. Are we pro podcasters? We're 10 years in. Are we officially pros?
I mean, I'm looking forward to being able to put 10 plus years podcasting on my next CV. I think that makes us at least pro-am.
Pro-am. Finally 10 years, now we're pro-am.
I think we are is it Jack Dempsey? Not Jack Dempsey, which one is the guy who's the McDreamy from
Patrick Dempsey?
Grey's Anatomy. Patrick Dempsey, there we are. Thank you.
Okay.
I was getting Jack Dorsey and Patrick Dempsey confused for some reason. Is he a professional racing driver now? He's been racing at Le Mans all those times.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Really
I like it.
I think he's pro-am, and I think that's us.
I think he is,
We're not on a national public radio or a PRX or an ABC or anything of those kinds of things. We're not a Spotify-sponsored channel or anything like that.
Are you kidding?
That would make you professional. But
well, look, we've been doing this a long time. Formula One Talk with 10 years in the ring, Pro-Am, official Pro-Am, sponsored, endorsed by Netflix and Spotify and all the rest. Google Music. We're going to be talking a little bit of F1, but first we've got a bit of gear to get through because for the whole double digits, I was going to say there's nothing else you do when you're 10. It's not like turning 18 or something.
You start drinking. You can finally go to nightclubs.
We've got to mark the occasion for 10th anniversary. I've got a top 10 super license moments. Do you want me to run through some of those?
Please.
I'll count these through. These are the top 10. My top 10 moments from the last 10 years of podcasting. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Number 10, the first haiku quiz from the Japanese Grand Prix. Number 9, Zach recording in a uni library so late one night that he got kicked out by security. Number 8, Felipe Massa's Monza Meatball Challenge. Number 7, that time I couldn't record because I sat on my balls. Number 6, doing shoeies at the supermarket. Number 5, Zach farting on the mic and turning it brown. Number 4, getting Guido van der Gaard tattoos on our private parts. Number 3, Kimi Räikkönen not talking to me or anyone else associated with F1 for an entire financial year. Number 2, winning the best podcast of all time at the F1 Gala in 2016. And number 1... the number one moment from the last 10 years of Super License Podcast, Elon Musk. There we go. I think that speaks for itself.
Are you going to announce on this show that you're taking up a late night night TV host's role? I'd watch that.
Who would I replace? I mean, Corden's a joke.
Just
He's gone.
any of them, right? The good thing is, because you're in Australia, it would be a reasonable recording time for you to do it via satellite in Australia, for it to be live in the US. Are those shows live?
You want to know a little secret? You want to know a dirty little secret?
Please.
Conan O'Brien doesn't record his show at 12:30 at night. Can you believe it? That's just not true. I mean, this is Showbiz magic. Have you ever been to one of those things?
No.
Night show recording or something?
The only thing I've done is when I did the Rockefeller Center, the NBC Studios tour. Sorry, not Rockefeller.
Yes. I know the story. Tell it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, how well do I know the story? Fuck me. I hope it's this story. We went and had a look at the studio that they were doing SNL in, and now I've forgotten the actor's name.
And then rehearsals were happening, and then right there rehearsing before your very eyes was
Harry Potter himself.
Daniel Radcliffe.
There he was. Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes, I've heard that story.
And then when we went outside, there was a huge line of people all waiting to get into that evening's recording of.
And you were waving, saying, "Daniel sends his love."
Yep, exactly. That's my only, I suppose, that's studio magic. But in my mind, they'd always thought that SNL was just kind of, it happened. But no, they have to prep all week. They're writing sketches. They're working with, they're having to write stuff with the guy. Anyway, this is not the SNL cast. No. I don't remember some of those things, the farting on the mic and turning it brown, but that does sound like me.
Pretty sure you farted on the mic so bad that it turned brown. It's still brown today, I'm pretty sure. If you look down, it's brown town.
Oh, God. I was wondering why also. These little socks you put over the mics really hold the smell in. They really keep it going.
You don't have to do that to muffle the sound. It's just to protect from breaking wind.
My favorite name I expected to hear today.
The question was, how early in the list do I put this? Felipe Massa's Monza Meatball Challenge. Because it's almost plausible where we've ended up in Formula One today that would happen.
I feel sorry for the social media managers of Formula One teams and races who are like, what can we do now? Can we put them in tiny cars? We did that. Lawnmowers? No, we did that too. No. What about something culturally sensitive but also
not interested, doesn't get the clicks?
Could we do that here? No one gives a shit, man. They just want, I don't know. Are Formula One drivers influencers? I guess. But I don't think anybody really would buy stuff that they suggest, would they?
I mean, I think history has proven yes. A big yes to that one. That's a resounding yes.
Yeah, I suppose the whole sport is specifically for that.
Basically what it is. It's a very expensive hat-selling business. Well, Zach, maybe we could extend our 10th birthday party to cover a couple of the things that the fans have written in saying that they want us to cover and discuss. First one, you and me, we've known each other for longer than this podcast. Can you believe it? How did we meet?
Only just, though. How did we meet? I'm going to say you were saddled with me is probably the answer, right?
Yeah, we were on the ranch. I was the experienced cowhand.
I thought you were the horse.
Yeah. It's a common mistake.
You were saddled with me. And I was like, oh there. And you were like, no.
Oh, fuck, look at this guy.
This guy, look at him. Why has he got that hat? Why is he wearing two hats? No,
every pair of white guys of our age, we met at work.
Because adult men aren't very good at making friends.
It's true.
You were definitely an adult. So yes, we met at work at I suppose I just always, whenever I tell anybody about working at that company, I always just say an Apple store, right? Because it pretty much was. It was pre-Apple stores in Australia. Yeah. It was the equivalent of.
It's more Apple than Apple stores are now.
Hey, that's true. Now that back then they were run by proper hipsters like us.
Yes, that's right.
And now they're run by good sales reps who are genuinely helpful. We were the genius and selling bar.
Yeah, we were everything.
At a university store. And
Here's-
how long did it take us to work out that we were both into Formula One? Because it wasn't immediate.
No, I think it took a while. I think it took us a while to work out that either of us had any common interests or likes or tastes, but I guess that developed over time.
I reckon our music tastes were pretty similar.
Well, yeah, roughly at the time for sure. I'm saying at the time, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But then, I mean, cricket was another one, and then Formula One, and then it was like, hey, we're fucking cooking now.
Yeah, finally, 6 months in, we've got something we can just spend any time talking about.
I
make it sound like we weren't friendly. We were, but yeah.
Look, I'm very much enjoying that you are now of a certain age that, like, I mean, you're older now than I was when we started this show, because I used to feel like much older, but now I'm feeling like you're catching up, which is kind of nice.
Huh. What were some of the... Was I immature? Was I too earnest?
No. You were, like, super enthusiastic about everything.
Yep.
Still are, really.
Fucking hate that.
I don't. I don't like it when it's fake. But you usually, if you're interested in something, it's usually authentic. So no. I mean, like you say, frankly, for a lot of the time we worked together, it was just you and me stuck in a very isolated kind of place. We had a lot of time to talk about whatever we could find to talk about. Made great playlists, and that was about it. And then, sooner or later, it was like Formula One. Then it became, hey, come to my place to watch the Formula One. Then it became what it is today, the old podcasterino.
But I think that was also at a time, because 10 years ago, podcasting was not, and we're talking even before that, before we started recording the podcast, podcasting was still pretty niche. And so if you knew another person who was into podcasts, there was like 10 podcasts that everybody knew. Right, whether it was
what's your favorite of the 10? Oh, I like 99% Invisible. Oh, yeah, that's number 3 on my list. Oh, yeah, what else have we got? Oh, the other 9.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And so it just so happened that one of the, like, I suppose you put me on to Stop Podcasting Yourself, which is kind of, I personally believe, a little bit of both of our, like, not inspiration as much as, like, a nice little... It's a little thing that I keep in the back of my mind all the time of like Formula One is our special guest on our show every time we record. And if you haven't listened to Stop Podcasting Yourself, it's 2 Canadian comedians who are very good friends. I think they knew each other through comedy, and now one of them doesn't really do comedy anymore, not in that way. The other one still is like a stand-up comedian, and they get another person on every week to record a show that has structure, but it's really just about them talking about what's recently happened to them and just trying to get to know the person through that, right? And I think that this show has tried its best to, like, when we felt like it needed more structure and needed more creativity, we've added more segments and like done more stuff, and I think that's when we've had the time or wherewithal, or maybe that Formula One itself wasn't really delivering and we could try to add more value in those ways. But now it's more like, well, Formula One's pretty interesting and is really highly popular right now. But when we started, I hate to be like, when we started, there were no podcasts. It wasn't just that. It was the reach was so much smaller in podcasts that when you did something that kind of like floated above, like got people's attention for a little bit, it would like I remember, do you remember those early days where we just get some shows that would get, like 100 downloads, and then randomly another one would have like 600 downloads. And you'd be like, oh yeah, because the race was like super interesting, or there was something that really happened, and you'd see those spikes. And it was all about like having a podcast meant that you could technically do some things as well, like record and edit, and like we had something to talk about, because there was also a lot of shows that were just, I mean, it's gotten a billion times worse, but even back then it was 2 white guys talking, and that's the show. And they'd have like heaps of listeners, and it's kind of gotten worse than that. Or it was like very journalistic. Like, we are a radio station and we make radio content all the time, so we might as well just stick it out as a podcast anyway. And so, there was I think that you put me on to Stop Podcasting Yourself, which was not just some random guy sitting around talking. It had more structure and more flow, and they worked really hard at building rapport and making the things really fun for everybody to listen to. And it's still something I think about all the time. And to go along with that, this kind of set up our relationship early on, is that you have a much better sense of good content in the world than I do, and still do.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Working out the eccentricities of that was really interesting. But some of my earliest memories of us working together were that there was a computer in our storeroom. Because we'd spend all day together, we didn't really need to spend lunch together. And we had to take lunches at separate times as well. And we were working on a university campus, so there was lots of food options, I suppose.
Food in quotations and options in quotations.
So, you go to the pasta place or have your leftovers and you microwave them. Not you, us. I would microwave mine and I'd go into the storeroom and you had a hard drive that had all of 30 Rock on there. All of... I don't know, the Michelin Web look and just and I would just every day watch the next episode of the thing and just to work through all of them
was how
available.
You get through 7 seasons of a show.
Yeah, but it was the stuff we're talking the pregenerate, so many of the people who, and this is such a massive aside, but Party Down was on that list.
Yes.
Portlandia was on that list. These are some of the things. I had all the good stuff. That I don't think TV and media necessarily I don't know. We talked just pre-show. We were joking about. I think you should leave, and the Tim and Eric Awesome show was kind of. I feel is a big inspiration for that show, but it's not quite as absurd. Well, that's way more absurd. But yeah, you knew so much, not just about good things, but also all of this stuff that I just didn't even know where you were getting it from. That was from the US and the UK. That just wasn't on television yet. It was this little secret world of other media that was very, very, very cool. And so that instantly, and I was like, well, if you like Formula One and I like Formula One and you know all this stuff about media and we both like these similar things, a podcast is just going to make sense because at least we'll have cultural references that we can pull on that create a fun little viewpoint into Formula One. I think I probably like sport more than you do, though. So that maybe balances the show.
I don't identify myself as anyone who likes sport at all. I mean, I watch Formula One and enjoy it, but I'm not a sport guy, if that makes sense. It seems contradictory, but I'm not a sport guy. I'm just a Formula One guy. I think there's a difference. But no, that's all very nice, and that's all very nice things that you just said there. But for sure, though, I couldn't have done a show like this without you. So it's been 10 great years. Couldn't have done it. I would not have lasted doing this for 10 years with, I don't think, by myself or anyone else. So it's a testament to you as well for putting up with me. There's also, I guess, just good memories I have from just, especially the early years. But, we picked up great memories and had good times along the way. Two things that stick out from my memory from the early days are someone wrote a review of the podcast where they were like, oh yeah, Super License. This is Rod and Zach, two friends who don't seem to like each other very much who record a Formula One show. I was like, what, huh? Where are you getting this from? And then I was like, well, I guess we have a sort of brotherly, antagonistic sort of angle.
I think it's probably because we just didn't agree a lot of the time, right? And I still don't know. And this is the fun of it. And I learned to embrace the fun of it. Maybe that was what was coming through.
Maybe.
That I would find it frustrating that I couldn't consistently pick which side of a thing you were going to be on.
Yeah.
So I might say a thing. And I think maybe I've gotten better at picking this after 10 years of podcasting and actively listening. Well, at least half listening. But, I'd be like, oh, yeah, and when this happened, of course, that was so dumb. And you'd be like, that wasn't dumb at all. That was perfect.
You don't appreciate it.
Why do you think it's dumb? Yeah, exactly.
Another thing that was said, which I definitely feel, I don't know, I just feel like this was good. Someone, I think this was more recent. Someone said, really like listening to the Super License show. Every episode, there's at least 2 things that I laugh at. And I'm like, we don't put ourselves out there as a comedy show, and we don't even really try to make jokes. I guess every now and again there's a small effort to do something funny. But it's like, we're just here to sort of chat and have a good time, but we're not here to make jokes. But it just seemed funny that someone would be like, 2, that's the right number for an hour of content, 2 jokes, that's good. I'm like, boy, if this is... I don't know. If I had 1 hour to spend and I wanted jokes, I don't know that I'd listen to this anyway. But look, I'm glad that person enjoys the show. That's the important thing. I've always said
No,
too,
I
and you'll
think-
back me up on this. I've always said I don't care if we have 10 listeners or 10,000 listeners, as long as they like the show and we like doing it. That's the win for me. So that
Yeah.
probably dictates how the show has gone from my point of view.
Yep, I think that's right. I agree. There was a period where I thought that maybe there would be an opportunity to make this show bigger than it is or was on a trajectory to be. But I think that
Good time to start. 10 years in.
I think, yeah, maybe now. These have all been practices. I think we should take a breather and then
Time
come
to
back
put the
like
pro
Alonso
in
did
pro
and
am.
really, yeah. Well, all we need really is for someone to buy the show who's got billions of dollars.
Please. Who's got $1 billion?
And then, put a good team around us. It's Daniel Ek, right? The head of Spotify. That's
True.
the right choice.
There you go.
So no. I suppose that there was a little period where it was like, wow, we've got a lot of listeners, and we could maybe do something with that. And podcasting was still interesting enough that people were like, wow, you do a podcast and you've got lots of listeners. That's really cool and nice. But then there was I think sports podcasting wasn't quite at the point yet at that point. And let's say this was a couple of years in to us. So this is what, 6-7 years ago, even more probably. No, this is, let's say 8 years ago, that there was still a little barrier between sports. So like civil or community journalism, like on a podcasting front or like a blog front, versus actual journalism. And they were kind of blurring, but I feel like proper journalism was like, cool, we'll take all those learnings from all that like community and like fan-led stuff, and we'll just like grab that and do that ourselves. And it's almost like the big beer companies like, oh, craft beer's a thing. Why don't we just make up a whole bunch of little brands that are all appear as craft breweries? James Squires, I'm looking at you, and we'll take some of that craft market too. And I think that's really what happened. That big media organizations were like, oh, this podcasting shit's really easy, and there's heaps of people who are interested in it. We already run like radio shows, and we already do all this like sports journalism. Let's just like turn a bunch of that shit into podcasts. That's easy, and then flood the market with that. And I think that's really what happened.
Yeah.
And the really excellent stuff, I think, is still pretty small. Funnily enough, but there were points when it was like absolutely market leading.
Sure.
And when we talk about there only being like 10, 20, 50 podcasts, like I don't think something like Serial, I know that's always the example that people use, but I just don't think that would have nearly the same impact in today's market. Like if it just came in, people would be like, oh yeah, you and the billion other true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
It's not
I guess the
anything.
proof of that is that they came back and everyone was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah,
I
so
could
it's a
talk
completely
about
different
the
thing.
podcast landscape all day long, but I think like the old rule of thumb for anything, whether it was a podcast or a news outlet or whatever, was always you have to either be like the best or the first or the craziest. And then in the Formula One landscape, there's like the professionals, and then there's the amateurs, like the real amateurs, and then there's the sort of funny ones. But then the problem is there's so many podcasts now is that there's the best and the first and the craziest one from the professionals, and then there's the best and the first and the crazy one from the amateurs, and it's like it's just so crowded. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is thanks for listening.
Yeah, well, exactly. But that was the whole point, is that the reason I wanted to bring that up is because we do the show because I think we consistently every single year still meet new people who are like, oh, I'm new to the show, or I'm new to the sport, or I really like you guys. Thanks for doing that thing. That's happened with people I've worked with in the last few years, where people are like, oh, I've kind of gotten to Formula One, and I did know you did that show, and I listened to it, and I really like it. And I'm like, oh, well, you didn't have to say that. Like they could talk about literally anything else, but they go out of way to tell me that the thing that we make is good and that they like it. And that's exactly it. And it's all different kinds of people too, that listen to this show. And I've made friends making this show.
Yeah.
Our friendship this is one of the bedrocks that our friendship sits on. And the fact that we've been doing this show across the globe from each other for way longer than we ever did it in the same city, I think is a testament to how much it means to us. And even at the times when I've been like, oh, just it's more effort and it's harder, and I used to think even pre-pandemic I was like, oh, I was doing that in the office, I was going into call booths in my old job with the microphone and trying to probably Skype work a little bit to try to get a recording in, and then wolf down my lunch and then get straight back into work. That those recording in university like like study rooms, and I've recorded in very, very, very random places at
traveling,
work.
especially.
And I built myself a little cardboard box that had egg boxes on the inside and foam to try to silence the noise, because I was used to work on at a company that was on an industrial estate in North London in Tottenham, and it got loud in that space, and the windows weren't very well insulated, and it would be either freezing cold, or in the summer it'd be like 35 degrees, and I'd have the door closed, and I'd come out of that room like sweating, and I had this little mic in this little cardboard box, and it probably wasn't that effective. And so the edits were way harder as well, because there was just so much like background noise, or like a buzz, or like, there'd be someone would come into the room and be like, "What are you doing?" You'd be like,
"Yeah,
actually
can you leave?"
Podcast. Yeah. And so it's really, I've got a lot of funny podcasting memories of staying in offices really late or whatever. So yeah,
it's funny old
it's
game.
been great.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I can remember things like, people that we've talked to, people who got to talk to, reach out to across the world, Brazil, London, just everywhere you could think of. People who made movies about Formula One, people who ended up working at Formula One teams, people who've gone on to careers in journalism, going to movie premieres. I mean, we've really done quite a lot if you think about it. But it's all out there. There's the whole history of 10 years of show if you want to go listen to it.
Yep. Exactly.
Should we leave the past in the past and give ourselves the present of the present?
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah.
So since the last show we've done, we've had 2 races, Azerbaijan and Miami. Actually, do you want to recap? Because it's been a little while. Do you want to recap of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix?
The castle one. It was really boring, which was a real shame. But Cheeky Perez got really lucky with Max Verstappen taking a pit stop just before a safety car was called. And he was like, "You know what? I'm looking really good. And I'm just going to stay in front of you. So take that, Verstappen." So it turns out he could be Verstapped. And there wasn't a lot, I don't think, from that race. But people really did like scraping the walls this year in ways that I don't think we've done as much of in the past. You know what? They wouldn't do that if the cars were smaller. I'm just going to say, hashtag smaller cars. But yeah, I don't know. There was, for a race that I actually think is probably one of the best on the calendar this year, just didn't really spark into life in a way that I think people were hoping for. What do you think?
Sort of true. I mean, I guess wasn't so much an exciting event, but it was interesting for how it shaped the championship, because we're a few races deep now, and all of a sudden people are looking at the championship, the leaderboard, and going, I know Verstappen's Verstappen, but Chico's kind of like hanging on right there, right? And then they were coming into this race, and the big thing they were hyping is the year for Checo to take the championship. Can he challenge him? All he needs is a few wins in here and there, and a bit of luck and a bit of unreliability going Verstappen's way, and he could be in for a chance. But I mean, the takeaway from Azerbaijan was Max could have threatened but got unlucky and didn't claim the win, which he normally does. But this last race in Miami, fuck me, he was having none of that. And I think after what happened, so he got unlucky in Azerbaijan. Then there was what happened? In qualifying in Miami, there was a weird accident, and then there was a red flag, and then they suspended, the results. They were like, no more racing, everyone's done. So the final run didn't get done, and Max didn't do a good lap in the first run of Q3. So he was starting at a disadvantage, but was like, it's going to drive over the top of everybody, and then finish a whole bunch of seconds ahead of Checo Perez, and then we'll see what people say. So, I mean, I feel like the story going into Miami was the Chico championship charge, and then the story leaving Miami was, never mind.
Yeah, it's the Perez and Bottas comparisons just endure, right? There is no doubt that Checo Perez is a very fine Formula One driver. He's been around for ages. He's a bit like us. He's a Pro-Am Formula One driver. He's been around for a long time. And
right. Yep.
It just happens to be in like easily the best car. And no one else is really challenging. And I think that makes a big difference. It makes the points tally always seem a little bit closer than it actually is, right? Because there isn't, they really should be finishing 1 and 2 every single race at this point, because the squabbling is happening behind them. And fucking Fernando Alonso, if he's on a podium every week, he's sitting in the new spot where it's like, as long as I keep my elbows in and yes. I just use all my wily Formula One racing skills, I should finish in the top 4, no trouble, it seems. Because Ferrari and Mercedes keep kind of scrapping it out between each other. And
But don't have the pace. They just don't have the race pace, though.
There's just nothing there. Yeah, exactly right. And even if they look okay in qualifying, I mean, how long have we had this Ferrari story? You know, they're looking okay on Saturdays. It's like, yeah, but it just does absolutely nothing for you. And so, yeah, all those times where Mercedes was absolutely dominating and people are like, oh, Bottas. Yeah, it's like, yeah, occasionally he'll get a win when something goes bad for Hamilton. And I think that's exactly where we are now. Like, it's going to have to go bad for Verstappen, like DNF bad, not just like finish fourth bad. He's going to have to DNF a few times. And then, even then, I think Red Bull would find a way to engineer it that, like, all that would mean is that for all the, let's say this happens in the next couple of races, for the second half of the season, every single time they're going to ask Perez to move out of the way. They're just going to give Verstappen the best strategy because he's the boy. Like, there is no value in Red Bull. If they could pick between those two guys, they're never going to be like, you know what? Like, because the championship's not really up for debate. There's no other... there would be pressure. Let's say if Fernando Alonso or Charles Leclerc was like sitting in second, applying a lot of pressure, or sitting in third, and they were really duking it out with someone, then they might be like, oh shit, Max, you know, you've had a few DNFs. We really want to win the Drivers' Championship, and Perez is that much in front. Like, we'll try to make sure you guys finish 1 and 2 as often as possible, but if it means winning the championship, we'll let Perez, you know, we'll ask you not to race, perhaps. That could be it.
Good
but
luck.
When it's guaranteed that they're going to win, they're not going to, like, what? And can you imagine Max being like, yeah, you know what? Want a couple
Don't
more.
worry, it's fine.
Just
I'll just sit
let this Sergio guy keep one on. No, but my prediction of Daniel Ricciardo replacing Perez by the end of the season is not going to come true.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think unless they have a fight, unless they have a big fight on track, you know, it could be that Perez is like, this is my one opportunity to win a championship. I'm going to go for it, and like crashes into Verstappen. I think they might fire it.
Well, I mean, I think it would take something like that at this point. While we're on the topic of predictions, I did predict at the start of the year that Alonso would double Stroll for points, just quietly. He's going extremely well. I think he's triples his best. Triples is good, but I think he's really going to blitz Stroll, to be honest. And we talk about how easy it is for Alonso to just stroll into the podium, stroll into the podium. But Stroll's struggling. He's not coming through. I know he had broken wrists and whatever at the start of the year, but like that was 2 months ago. So he's got to pull his finger out a little bit, I think. But the story after the Miami Grand Prix, which is, again, Verstappen driving incredibly well and just really making it look easy, as if he could have just lapped everybody. You know, I think Anthony Davidson on the Sky coverage was like, just noticing how much the team is talking to Verstappen, and it's funny, they just not even sure Chico's radio is working, to be honest. They're barely talking to him at all. It's sort of a bit funny that there's a lot of chatter going on with Verstappen, but none with Chico. And then because this is my own fault, I went looking for cooked F1 news a while ago and blocked a whole bunch of like the mainstream F1 news sites. So my news app started me throwing up news from random places, including my new favorite, Sports Illustrated, has the best F1 coverage, the most cooked F1 coverage. And the big story, you know, Verstappen conspiracy. The team want him to win. They were helping him the whole time. It's like, well, he's been there a long time. Like, I mean, this is nothing new. This isn't headline stuff, guys. But they don't know that. They're trying hard. They're doing their best there.
Yeah, look, I hate to be look, if you've been watching Formula One for a really long time, like a couple of pro-ams out
Take it from a couple of pro-ams.
Take it from a couple of old coaches like us. Yeah, this is exactly how Formula One teams are run, especially the ones that win championships.
I would still, and I've been talking about this for a long time, but if we finally get this video stream thing going before race, pre-show video streaming on YouTube or something, we will go through some Sports Illustrated F1 coverage because it's pretty cooked. It's my new sick favorite thing.
I'm here for it.
Anyway, are we done with the Chico Red Bull general situation?
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. He's not going to win a championship. He never will. It's not his fault, except the only reason he's being considered to win a championship is he just happens to be in the best car. So,
okay.
Yeah. Good luck for him.
Next topic du jour is the new sprint format. So this is something we had in Azerbaijan. We had a sprint race. So this was the rundown. On Friday, race qualifying, and then Saturday, sprint shootout. No, have I got this right? Yeah. Saturday, sprint shootout, and then the sprint race, that's sprint qualifying and the sprint race, and then Sunday, the race. So any thoughts on that?
So
format?
that meant that the race qualifying was what gave us the races grid.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
Because people were annoyed last year that how things went in the sprint race was throwing up weird grids.
That's why we had it.
Yeah.
That's why it mattered. But yeah, that's essentially they've taken the sprint qualifying and the sprint race and just separated them from the race, but they put the qualifying before the sprint stuff and then the race after the sprint stuff. So you could...
Yeah, so it's a little bonus round mid-weekend. Here, guys, take some points if you want them.
What are you ranking?
What do I do to ranking?
Any improvements that could be done here? Or did you... I don't know what you saw of it, but are you a fan?
Not particularly. I think this makes Formula One... Like, you know me. The more difficult Formula One is to understand, the worse it is.
Yes.
And this doesn't make any sense. Formula One's already hard to understand. They're like people are like, how do I watch it? Do I have to watch all the things? You're like, no, it's like Eurovision. You can watch all of the other qualifying rounds and stuff, or you can just watch the final on Saturday night, and that's the one. Eurovision. Do you like Eurovision, Rod? This is
the thing is, before it was like cool to like Eurovision. I was like, look how cool this is. It's so wacky and funny and silly. And then when everyone liked it, I was like, oh, come on, this is my thing. So I've gone off it a little bit, but you know, sometimes you've got to see this one thing, and I'm like, all right, fine. But I don't go out of my way for it.
Yeah, I like that. Well, that makes sense. So yeah, I think that it is more complicated than it needs to be.
Like Eurovision.
Like Eurovision. Because why are we even in Eurovision, Rod? It's Australia. Anyway, I suppose Europe is a state of mind.
It's
not
true.
necessarily a geographic location. That's kind of true. So
What are we talking about?
we were talking about how Formula One is better when it's easy to understand. And I think that, but it has to carefully balance against the entertainment factor. And having you know what this tells us? Well, it's really fun, really fast, short race. That's really good. People really like that. Maybe in some places, that's what we should have instead of having a big 2-hour-long race. Maybe we could have some places could be little condensed race weekends where you only need 2 days. And that way, it might even make it a little easier for some of the countries that find it very expensive to host a Formula One race or very disruptive in a city, perhaps, to host a Formula One race. If it's only going to be Saturday and Sunday, who the fuck am I? Saturday and Sunday. With a, one practice, one qualifying, and one short race on the Sunday, boom, you're in and you're out. Why not one day? You don't have to have it for as many points.
Yeah.
But it could also give some teams an opportunity that wouldn't necessarily... Maybe Ferrari could win a race at something like this. Like, if you're going to change the format, go all in and do it in a way that opens up more opportunities than halving it. That's kind of like, we'll do this and let's just fuck with the main product enough that it's too disruptive for everyone. And everyone walks away from it going like, what was this all about? Who was this for? What do you think of my idea?
I think that sounds like a really good idea. I like the idea of a Saturday-Sunday weekend where you have practice on Saturday, maybe qualifying and the race on the same day on Sunday. That would be kind of good. Or you could do practice in the morning and a sprint race on Saturday, qualifying in the morning, and then the race on Sunday, like another short race, like maybe 2 sprint races. I don't know.
That's what the Formula 2 do, right? They do one race and then flip the grid and do another. Like, that's cool.
So the flip the grid, just forget that though. Just take that bit out.
Yeah,
the thing that I like that they did is taking the race qualifying and the race and separating it from the sprint. That's good. I'm a big fan of that because when we had the sprint race that led into the race, it just felt like taking a bit of the race and running it on a different day. No good. That's not on. The thing I don't like about this is that it diminishes the qualifying because it makes it feel like qualifying doesn't matter. All that matters is the big race. But it's like, well, cool. But then why have you separated qualifying and the race so much? I don't understand why we're not doing Friday sprint shootout / qualifying, Saturday morning sprint race, Saturday afternoon race qualifying, Sunday the race. That just makes so much more sense to me. And I know they'll say, we don't want to have the sprint race and the race qualifying on the same day because it makes the sprint race seem like the junior, like the little brother. But I'm like, mate, I hate to bust this to you. It literally is. It literally is the little brother of the big race. It's the small cousin, the one who when you come home with the pizza, he gets like a bit of garlic bread and one bit of the cheese pizza, and that's it. Everyone else has the good stuff. It's the runt of the races.
Yeah, it is. Oh man, now I'm thinking more and more like teams could have a third driver if they wanted to, so you could stick your reserve driver in there.
There you go. Why not? Maybe you've got to. You've got to do that.
Yeah,
maybe it's just one car. There you go.
Forced.
One car. It has to be a third
car.
driver. Make that the sprint race.
Yes. And if you do really well, and then you can stick your third car in the actual race.
Then you can stick your third car. The other thing I think they should do is a point for fastest lap during the sprint race, because that makes sense. It's a sprint race.
It's a sprint. Exactly. We should do points for the first one to the first lap, just a first lap point. How quickly can you get, who can be the quickest in the first lap? Oh, man, I'd take that. Yes. Anyway. There should be little achievements, little chivos during the thing. It's like, can you...
Chivos?
How many times can you hit the wall without getting a puncher? Yeah, chivos. You know what a chivo is?
I guess it's an achievement.
It's an Xbox. It's the Australian shortened version of an Xbox Live achievement.
Well, I've learned a thing, which is good.
Yes, I think we could little bonuses. In Formula E, how they had like the go fast spots where you'd like go off the racing line to a power boost. I want things like that. That'd be like, if you can
in the sprint race,
you take exactly. Little things. It's like the points for overtaking, or that kind of stuff. How many overtakes can you make? Like make it the free for all that it should be. To really fuck up the points in the championship. Yeah. I think it makes sense, though, because it gives teams an opportunity who aren't always the fastest on a big, long, proper race weekend. Because, I've had a problem with this for a long time. I think 25 points is too many points for a race win when it's 7 different to the guy who comes second. You can give the guy who's coming second, maybe the Chico Perez puts a lot of effort into these sprint weekends because you can get a few more points going on.
How about that?
Anyway, I want express race weekends, especially for triple headers or double headers. I want, in same countries, Miami could have been one of these express weekends where it just happens real fast, and then save the big daddy races for Las Vegas and America. Imagine if over 3 weekends we could have all the US races, and you start at COTA, and then you go to Miami and do the express race weekend that just goes, you know what, you could do it all day Saturday. Just the whole thing. It's practice first thing, 9 a.m., qualifying at midday, and the race at 3. And bang, 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 you're in, you're out. Cool. And then all the teams could pack up on Saturday night, and then they could have a little rest, and they could be off to Las Vegas for the next weekend. You got a USA triple header. 2 weeks racing festival. I'd love that.
You're saying you're saying triple the racing. All I'm hearing is triple the opportunity for Esteban Ocon to mow down a whole bunch of people in the pit lane. How was this for an incident?
Yes, sponsored by Crypto.com.
It's Casualty Corner, sponsored by Crypto.com.
So
what a
I don't
farce.
know. It's funny. This was a farce because I loved that Ted Kravitz in slowly working it out. It's like, oh my God, it's coming.
This is a shambles, as it hasn't even happened yet. He's already assessed it, judged it, moved on.
He was outraged before there was anything to be outraged about. But I did see a TikTok from a photographer, a Formula One photographer, who had he's like, I had one of the vests on, that gives me special access to lots of different places. And he was like, it's not unusual for, people to cross over the pit lane. We do that all the time.
Sure.
There's usually a guy there who's like, come and do this. And so we just weren't expecting, everybody in that point had been told that they could go over there to get photos. Like, it was
not saying it's
fault.
Anybody's fault who was standing there.
Of course not. It's just a shambles.
It's an organizational, they said, what people I haven't heard anybody really mention this, but what happened in Australia? A whole bunch of people fled onto the track, and the Australian representatives were hauled before the stewards after the race for a talking down. They got their wrists firmly slapped. Then we get this Esteban Ocon pulling into the pits on the last lap to finish basically on the last lap by going through the pits, and then all these people having to jump out of the way because they were told it was okay for them to go in even though it wasn't. And then in Miami, I think it happened again where Lando Norris or someone came into the pits, and then there's someone just strolling casually across the tarmac there. Yeah. It's like, there's a problem. There's a big problem. And it's not just the Esteban Ocon thing. But clearly, when the track is live, you don't fucking go on it. Like, I mean, it's not hard. I don't care if you've got if you've got your vest on, if there's a little bollard with a little fucking black stretchy seatbelt thing. You just don't go on a live track. And I don't understand why there isn't someone there just like giving that person a talking to.
Yeah, it should be as simple as that, right?
Should
but
be.
I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. You know, we got thousands
That's also
of laps
true.
in a season, and these things are remarkable because they don't happen very often. So,
And
anyway,
glad no one got it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Speaking of people getting hurt, do you reckon
got it.
someone will get hurt when Brad Pitt drives his F1 car on the track?
Now, tell me about this, because I've heard mixed reports. Is he actually driving anything? Is he really? Did he?
Here's what I've heard. Let me Google this.
Okay.
Brad Pitt F1 driving, because it's very, very well known. Here's a reliable source, Variety Magazine. Where's my? Let me try and see if I can. Let's do a bit of live.
Sports Illustrated.
Exactly. Sports Illustrated. They'll definitely have covered
Brad Pitt,
this.
underwear.
Sports Illustrated, Lewis Hamilton F1 film update. Watch Brad Pitt in ... Well, I've got to see what this is. Basically, the story is Lewis Hamilton is co-producing an F1 movie, TV show, a thing, and Brad Pitt's involved, and I think he's going to be in it. And they've decided, the quote that I heard was Lewis Hamilton wants it to be extremely authentic to the degree that he wants Brad Pitt to drive a car on the track during race weekends. So that's happening.
Yes.
He's driving a modified Formula 2 or Formula 3 car, and someone described it as like they're submitting a virtual 11th team. And this is to, I guess, shoot some stuff, get some onboard camera stuff of the real tracks while the grandstands are full of people. Like, that's the kind of vibe they're going for. But I mean, there's poor old like Colton Herta tweeting like, Brad Pitt gets a super license before me. That hurts. Which, gotta say,
I suppose is kind of true. Yeah, I mean, we named our bloody podcast after it, and we still didn't get super licenses. But we did spell it incorrectly.
Not even enough to get us one.
I know that's my fault. I didn't spell it.
Team name revealed. After some confusion over whether that was the name of the film or the team, it has now been confirmed the team which Pitt will be driving for in the film will be called Apex. Horrible name. Terrible. This movie's going to flop.
If you asked AI to come up with a fucking Formula 1 team, that's what they would call it. Why not call it... Yeah, I mean, Apex is bang on.
Snowfall star Damson Idris lands coveted role opposite Brad Pitt. He was handpicked apparently by Lewis Hamilton to star in this thing. Do you know him?
Because Idris fucking Elba's the best.
No, Damson Idris.
Oh, Damson Idris. No clue. Who's Damson?
He's
Idris.
He's an Idris Elba type. Anyway, we thank Sports Illustrated for their service. Thank you, guys.
Wow. There's a lot of films this person has been in. Yeah.
I
was in crime drama Snowfall. That sounds good. I'd watch that. Yeah. Okay. I mean,
in the same season where we had serious and egregious safety concerns, putting an untrained driver on a live track, I just can't understand the sense of this.
Yeah, but when you are owned by a media company and that is US focused and is desperate for the brand of Formula One to be as big as possible so that then you can sell it to probably Saudi Arabia, this is how you do it, right? You squeeze the lemon as hard as you can. Fine. Whatever, man. What does it matter? Why does it matter? Like, get him on the track. I'd love to see more of that. Could you imagine? I miss the celebrity race in Australia Grand Prix where we'd have everybody driving around in BMW 1 Series. Get more celebrities into modified Formula 1 cars.
I'm okay with them as long as you can drive it. I mean, that's the whole idea of the celebrity race is that it's like, they're just in V8s or whatever, and they do a bit of training beforehand. But I mean, yeah, I think that the celebrity race, I don't know if other F1 events have something like that, but boy, I would be all for exporting that.
Be quite good at. You know who you'd have to cast in this?
Who?
If I was casting, well, Patrick Dempsey. He's the only pro-am. He actually knows how to drive.
Well, it writes itself, doesn't it?
Who are going to be the cameos in this film? Do you think?
There's probably an IMDb page, but I mean, do we want to guess?
Yeah, let's.
Well, first of all, Lewis Hamilton will probably make a cameo, right? As like a rapper or an announcer type person, something like that. He'll just be like
fashion designer,
Alfred Hitchcock style.
So you don't think he'll play himself? You think he will?
I don't know. I don't think he'll want to play Lewis Hamilton, the race driver.
No. Unless he wants to wishcast himself into a better role. It's like, here's Lewis Hamilton, Formula 1 driver, and he's in charge of Kristen Stewart's new line.
Right.
Like,
But there'll be some sports people in it. They'll probably like, I don't know, there'll be like Serena Williams and people like that in it, I reckon. As like, hey, can you believe this is that Formula 1 driver? And they'll be like, oh my God, Serena Williams, I can't believe it's you. They'll be like that.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a film about Formula 1 would be nice. They could have some women, or at least some non-men driving some cars would be really good and nice. They could maybe wish that into existence. So that would be good. I reckon we'll get a Mark Webber type will be in this film to, as a stupid little cameo.
Okay, right. Just as a hustle and bustle of Formula 1, private jets, champagne spilling everywhere. It's only Mark Webber. Me and Mark Webber living that.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly. I have no idea what this film's going to be like. Is it meant to be serious? Is it going to be a comedy? I have no idea. I'm probably not a comedy. That's a bad choice. It's probably not going to be a comedy. But, like, what? Like, I really struggle to think about this. This is why there aren't, like, movies about cricket or about football in this way. That it's like a story from the top of, like, people prefer the real thing. They don't need a stylized version of the thing.
But this is like the Lewis Hamilton filter of his life story, right? Or it's not his life story, but it's I think it's his.
Is it autobiographical?
No, that's what I'm trying to get at. I don't think it's autobiographical, but I think it will have autobiographical tinges.
Inspired by true events.
In other words, it will be someone underprivileged, struggling, supported by family that go to all lengths to help their son succeed through the lower ranks. Their raw talent is spotted and nurtured, and they grow to take on the world and whatever. It'll be that story. So it'll be his story without it being an autobiography.
Is this Idris gentleman the star of the show, and then Brad Pitt is the
elder
aging, the Fernando Alonso figure?
Yeah, I guess he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi to his whatever.
Yeah,
something like that. Mentor.
And what's the navel of the world? And who's the big bad? And then what?
Sacha Baron Cohen as the bad, reprising his role as bad racing guy.
Yes. All right. I feel like
this is it. ChatGPT, right?
Get us. Fuck me. If I have to hear about bloody ChatGPT one more time on my own show, I'm gonna. Enjoy it while it lasts, guys, because these podcasts are going to be fucking
pretty soon.
We have a lot of audio. If we could take one of these foundational models and tune it with just our, just then input, like just take all of recorded human behavior, and then we'll tune it with our hundreds of hours, thousands of hours probably at this point of our recorded voices and our podcast style. Then all we need to do is prompt it with like, hey, these two races happened. Talk about these two races and these news stories, and spit out a show. And there's voice synthesizers that from large multimodal stuff that'll work as well. You got a new show, easy. We don't need to do this anymore. And we could put out two shows. We could have the AI generated one and then the real one, and ask people to pay for the real one.
That's true. That's absolutely right. Put out the fake one and then be like, for $2 a month, you can get us actually talking.
Yes, it's actually us.
You've always got to find ways to improve the show, though. That's what's good. Like in Miami, they were trying to improve the show with this pre-race driver announcement thing. Well, surely you heard about this.
So I have only heard furor. That is all I have heard.
Oh, you only heard the backlash.
Anything else?
Well, I got good news for you. There's going to be lots more of it, apparently, despite the fact that no one seemingly liked it. So do you need me to, tell me what you know about it?
Give me the blow. So I have only seen memes of it, of what they had, like a stadium announcer style guy who introduced the drivers before the race onto a spot that they went and stood on. This was maybe pre-anthem, I'm guessing, something like that. And then it went for too long, maybe, or people didn't like the little bios that they got, something like that, and it really disrupted all of the drivers because they're fragile. The drivers are just like the cars; they are fragile. They like routine, and they need to be maintained by a strict set of experts. And so it's hard enough doing the parade when they sit on the back of the truck and get driven around the track, which never makes it so dumb.
We'll get to this.
So
look, if you didn't see it, what happened was before the race, it was announced there's going to be, even like, actually, I remember now in Azerbaijan, old mate Ted Kravitz was like, today at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, we all had to go and line up 10 minutes early because they're testing a thing. And I can tell you there's going to be some thing in Miami and it's going to be very, very different than what you're expecting. And I was like, oh, fucking here we go. And then I didn't watch it live, but I woke up to the news. LL Cool J, rapper from 30 years ago, introduced all the drivers. And I was like, that sounds like fucking the worst. What a cringe thing. And then I heard, dig this, will.i.am was there. And I went, why isn't he in the headline, Sports Illustrated? will.i.am will.i.am headlines event where drivers are introduced. But no. Then I watched it. Here's what happened. So it starts with will.i.am. You think, finally, will.i.am's here is going to save this thing. He starts waving his hands around like a fucking maniac, and it turns out he's conducting an orchestra, playing a song that he has written musically, an orchestral piece that's about Formula One. We've already got one, bro. You didn't need to go and write one, but thanks for the effort. That was his involvement, purely waving his hand from up to down, and then from left to right, and then from right to left, and then up to down, and he did that for about 10 minutes straight. And then
I didn't know the film Tar had such star power,
it's really having a moment,
cultural impact. Yeah.
Then cheerleaders everywhere waving their pom poms and doing their stances, and then
it's America.
There's like a V shape, and then like a little entrance area. Out comes LL Cool J, looking basically like Mike Tyson, and he's like, "Wait, what's up, America? We're going to do some Formula One racing, woo!" And then he's introducing all the drivers one by one. Remember how many drivers there are? How many are there, Zach?
There's heaps.
There's 20. I don't even need to think about it. That's a no-brainer. There's 20 drivers. He introduces every single one with his own little quip. Here's Logan Sargent. He's the boy from Miami. He's born and raised. Here's Logan Sargent. And then Logan Sargent came out. He was the only one who grabbed the mic and was like, yeah, America, let's make some noise. To absolutely no reaction. Every other driver he read out, and now Yuki Tsunoda, the pocket rocket from Japan or whatever. And then he just walks right past him, doesn't even look at him. Maybe they'd smile, maybe they'd give a bit of a wave. And sometimes they did that thing where they would say the driver's name, but the driver had already walked past the guy and he's like lining up with the kids to get their photo taken and whatever. Then it goes through literally every single driver. Lewis Hamilton gave a bit of a wave and put a bit of energy into it. And then, every other driver came out. Max Verstappen was last, and they were like, hey, Max, I bet you're looking forward to a good race. And he was like, well, qualifying, I made things hard for myself, but we'll see what we can do. And he's like, thanks very much, Max. Max Verstappen. So they went through all of that. It went for fucking ages, and it was so cringe. But everyone watching it was like, well, that was the worst. But at least the drivers probably thought it was good. Do you want to hear some reactions?
Yes, please.
Actually,
why don't you give me the reaction, and I will guess whose reaction it is.
Well, it's going to be hard, but I'll try. I've got lots of reactions here, but it's all right. I'll see what I can do. So here we go. First of all, the first thing came out was that they actually spoke about this event on the Friday night at the drivers' conference. They had to discuss whether or not they wanted to do it or felt like it was even a good thing to do. Let me give you this. Here's a reaction. You tell me who it is. We spoke about it at the drivers' conference on Friday night. Everyone has different personalities. It's the American way of doing sports. Personally, probably not for me. That's just my personal opinion. I'm here to race. I'm here to drive. I'm here to win. But I guess we have to roll with it. Who do you think that was?
We have to roll with it. I'm here to win. I'm here to race. Maybe Carlos Sainz?
That one was George Russell.
That does sound like
Mr. Party Pooper, George Russell. There's
sit on the fence. Tell me what you really think, George.
Here we go. Here's another one. I think it's just a bit of a personality thing. Some people like to be in the spotlight, some don't. I personally don't. So for me, naturally, what they did today is not necessary. I prefer to talk to my engineers, walk to the car, put my helmet on and drive. I hope we don't have to do it every single time. We have a very long season and we don't need an entry like that every time. It depends on the crowds. So it's just a personal preference, but for me, personally not. Who do you think?
Is that a Magnussen?
No, that one's Max Verstappen. Dual world champion Max
Max.
Verstappen, Mr. Hype.
Yeah.
Here's another one. None of the drivers like it. It's not for us.
Yep.
But we do a lot of things. We're probably the only sport where we're so close to the fans. We do a lot of publicity for the fans. As drivers, we all just want to sit down and focus on what we need to focus on and not do so much TV. It's a business, so we've got a lot to do. But adding more stuff like this, no driver likes it. Who do you think that was?
That feels like Valtteri Bottas to me.
No,
Nothing
you're
to
going to
lose.
keep saying Valtteri Bottas every time. That was Lando Norris.
Hey, I said
Want another
Magnussen
one
before.
Okay, all
Lando
right, sorry.
Norris.
They're
Lando,
basically the same
really?
person in my head. That was
Well,
Lando.
not everybody has a bloody.
You ready for another one?
Discord, mate. Yeah,
I think we don't do it. If we need to do it, we need to remove some other stuff like the parade lap. It's in the middle of the preparation with the engineers in the strategy meeting.
Hulkenberg?
No, that was Fernando Alonso. I've got your mate Valtteri Bottas here. There's no other sport where athletes do so much stuff before the start of their race. There needs to be a limit at some point. Nobody. That's like 10 drivers, and they're all the big name ones. I'll give you one more quote. See if you can possibly guess who this one is.
We've got a sauna. We've got to go and do a warm up. We've got to get back in the sauna. We've got to.
I think last one. It's cool that the sport is continuously growing and evolving. They're just doing the same. They're not just doing the same stuff they did in the past. They're trying new things. They're trying to improve the show, and I'm fully in support of it. I grew up listening to LL Cool J, and you've got will.i.am, who's an incredible artist. You got Serena and Venus Williams standing there. I thought it was cool, and it wasn't an issue for me.
Oh shit! I feel like they've spoken to like big names the whole time. Wasn't an issue for me. Is that Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah, of
Did
course.
Did he say anything?
Of course it is.
Good on him. Good on him. He likes at least he got into it. He's trying stuff. He wants to get good footage for the film. That's what he wants.
That's
he
what
needs
it's
people
about,
celebrating,
isn't it?
jumping up and down.
Well, I mean, I'm not against them trying
who's this
something,
for,
but it
Rod?
was so bad.
Who's it for?
This is
And what's it for?
I heard someone else talk
And
about
where
this.
is
It's
it
for
for?
the new fans. It's for the Drive to Survive fans. It's for the casual fans that they're chasing.
I think they're being maligned in a wrong way. These new fans, the DTS fans. I think that they are like, you know what? I'm trying to engage with the sport on a personal level.
Sure.
That and that's what so much Drive to Survive is about, right? Personal narratives, an insight into what it's like to be a Formula One driver. Those fans know all the names, and they know more than LL Cool J can quip about them on the fly, and they don't need that intro. Like no one's like, and here you've come to see. I don't know, pick random good band. You've come to see the Rolling Stones. Here they are. Their names are this person on drums. Like you don't need that. It's like we're all fans here. We know exactly who everybody is. Like, what are you doing?
I think it's got to be, number one, it's got to be way faster. Number two, I agree. I think if they're going to do something like this, then no like driver parade, something like that. Just get rid of that old stuff. Number three, if you're going to pick a personality, LL Cool J is just not. That's just not the right person. And I'm like, pick it's great that it's not Patrick Dempsey or someone, but just there's something cringe about LL Cool J already. And then when will.i.am is standing right there, I don't care what you have to pay him. Get will.i.am to do it at least.
Yeah, boom boom pow.
Boom boom pow.
What is will.i.am up to? He's like
inventing new watches and stuff, isn't he?
Side gigs. Yeah, good on him. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he is. Yep, junk, kill it. I don't know how they got through, how they practiced it the week before. I went, yep, that's good. Let's do that next time.
That's the thing. They literally did a timing rehearsal the race before just so that they could,
I mean, it's amazing that Formula One is as popular as it is. Like, I sometimes sit back and I'm like, what is it? Like, why this? Of all things, why this one?
Of all things, why this?
I'd love to run like a brand positioning set of focus groups and take that to like Liberty Media and Formula One teams and be like, these are the reasons why. Like you have like 4 different groups of people who enjoy Formula One and they like it for these different reasons, but it is not like other sports. You can't make it like a fucking Super Bowl. Like it doesn't work that way. People are here for so many different reasons than that bullshit. And it just reeks of like 60-year-old men being like, you know what other sports have that, is really good, like cheerleaders and like, like wrestling, we can have someone introduce them and like have fireworks. That's what we should do. Like it just, none of those things have worked. People like the people in the spectacle.
Like,
that's all.
We used to have grid girls and it seemed like Formula One was really taking a step forward by saying no more grid girls. Yeah. You know what? We're progressive. No more grid girls. And then what they do in Miami, out come the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
It's bullshit. Is what it is, Rod. It's crap. I hate it. This is the last show. I think Formula One's done.
Yeah, we're done. Roll out the AI. We need a palate cleanser. What do you think about a super quiz?
I thought you were going to roll straight into it. I thought after 10 years, I thought you were a
too
professional.
smooth.
I thought
You expected more of me.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go, how about palate cleanser? And I said yes, and then you went straight into the super quiz theme.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round one?
Can you repeat the question?
Something like that.
I
Zach,
love
10 years. 10 years of super license. I've had the number 10 on my brain, so I thought we'd do a number 10 quiz, a Desi quiz. I tried to Google history of number 10, and all I got was just like the history of the number 10 player in football, or like other weird stuff. I was like, that's not what I want. But anyway, we'll call it the Desi quiz or the number 10 quiz. Quiz all about the number 10. What do you know about the number 10?
It's the first of the double figures, mate.
Double
1
figures,
and
yeah,
0.
true.
Like it's binary.
True.
It's alpha and omega. It is.
Yeah.
It's everything and nothing at once.
I tried to. It's like it's 1 and 0 at the same time, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I tried to Google like etymology of 10, and all it came up with is literally like 9 plus 1. I was like, thanks, thanks very much.
Okay. Cool.
I've got a bunch of questions here. I don't even know how many. There might be 10. 1, 2. I should have planned that. 1, 2, 3,
That
4,
would have
5,
been good.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 questions, but good news, it's super quick fire, super fast. So I'm going to read these questions. You've got 5 seconds to react and answer. That sounds hard, but I guarantee the answers are very easy, and you get the gist very quickly. You ready?
Yes.
First question: how many years have we been doing the podcast?
10 years.
How many points does a driver get if they finish in P5?
10?
How many championships do Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, and Jenson Button have combined?
Oh. 10.
Yeah, number of race wins by Jim Clark in 1963.
Is it 10?
Yeah, what's Pierre Gasly's racing number this year?
Oh, I think it's a 1 and a 0.
What's Pierre Gasly's favourite number?
10.
How many letters are there in Rod and Zach?
Oh, wait. Oh, 10, but I thought it was going to be 7, but you can include the end. That's very
And
sweet.
that's it, yeah. Number of fastest laps in this 2000 season by Mika Hakkinen?
Fuck me. They were recording that? 10. I don't know the finish for 10.
In 1954, Fangio had 6 wins out of how many races?
Oh, probably 10 races.
How
That's
many pole
60%
positions
rate.
did Nico Rosberg take in 2014?
10.
How many race wins does Mark Webber have?
Only 10. Huh.
And how many letters are there in
Formula 1
Super
wins.
License?
Oh, 10. How about that?
So do you want to know the answers?
Yeah.
The first 7, the answers are 10. All the rest
Yep.
are like 9, 11, 12. There's 12 letters in Super License.
You got me. Absolutely lulled me in.
existential dread
False
of,
sense
like,
of confidence.
You know, just kind of...
Well, I always told you I wanted to rebrand it to Super License when everybody was getting rid of,
Superlessons.
like all
If
the
you take
bands
out
were getting
the
rid of.
vowels, you get closer.
It's probably down to like 7.
Take out the E's, there's about 9. Anyway, a nice, good, fresh, like I feel limber now, having just done that quiz.
Yeah. What was I going to say? There was one of those answers. One of the questions. I was like, really? Only that many?
Mark Webber's
that
wins?
seems small. Yeah, that seems fewer.
Only
than I
9
had
for him.
thought.
My Daniel Ricciardo only 7. He didn't even pass him.
Yeah, that's true. But to be a race winner these days is a fine thing. There aren't many of
guess
them going around, and the ones that are around hang around for ages and continue to hoover them up.
That's also very true. It's so true.
Great quiz.
In fact, well, Zach, look, what races are coming up? Let's pull that up.
Oh, let me pull it up on my old phone, my phony thing. We got nothing this weekend, and then we've got
1 week off.
the
And there's
Emilia
a triple header, I think.
Romagna. Fuck me, really?
I think so.
No. Oh my god, I'm in Japan that whole time.
Oh, 3 races. You're in Japan for all of them. Shall we
I know.
get
I'm back. I'm back just in time to watch the Spanish Grand Prix. For to watch.
okay, gotcha.
For to watch Spanish Grand Prix,
Very
and then we'll be
cool.
able to do a
Very
nice recording at the start of April. We'll have
Nice.
lots to talk about. I think I got a booking for that famous restaurant in Emilia Romagna. I think that's where it is.
Wait a second. Not that you have to blow up your spot, but what's the famous restaurant?
I could be wrong though.
You comfortable?
Let me have a quick look. I'm
Sharing
very
the...
comfortable. Yeah, but this is an old thing now. Foodies know about this place. They're like, oh man, come on, like he's that guy.
Are you kidding?
He's done heaps of places. Come on, it's not anything. So Emilia Romagna as a region has some good food areas in it, like
These are good areas.
Bologna. These are good areas. Bologna,
Good
good
area,
areas.
Shane.
Bologna, good food coming from Bologna. But there is a restaurant in Modena. So I'm going to Modena this year for the first time. I hope I booked the restaurant first and going to organise the trip later. Modena is very interesting because Ferrari is there, Lamborghini is there, and I want to say Maserati might be there too. I could be wrong.
Whoa.
So Amber doesn't know this yet, my wife, but that weekend's going to be a little bit like when we went to Stuttgart, and I was like, "Oh, you know what's here? The Porsche Museum and Factory and the Mercedes."
Now that we're here, I'm just
Museum and Factory.
Googling what's around. And look what's just 2 minutes down the road.
Yeah, the top 10 things on TripAdvisor. The first two happen to be my favourite car brand and
best events for Zach
another
and his
famous
new
Formula
bride.
One brand. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to find myself at the Museo Enzo Ferrari.
Please
but
take
yes,
heaps
there is
of
a
photos.
restaurant, Franzischetta, which is very famous. That let me get the full name for you. You would have seen it on Chef's Table if you'd watched Chef's Table.
Table for two at the Grande Svetita.
Osteria Franciscana. Osteria Franciscana.
Magalo.
Yep, that's the one. Famous chef there.
Chef
controversial
Franco
at the time
Cozzo.
because he took no. Oh man, yep, sure, why not? Right? I was wondering what Box of Neutrals were up to. It turns out they snuck into my show.
That's right.
Do you want to finish it up now?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just asking. If there's
Yeah, I mean,
anything else
that's
you
where I
wanted
was getting
cover.
to. I mean, I figure you've got to go to work and stuff.
Yeah. Oof, don't say.
I have been. I really do want to do. Really do want to try a live stream thing. I couldn't do it in Baku because the race was unfortunately a convenient time. So my daughter was still going to sleep at the time I wanted to start. So that was out. Miami also out. Like 5 a.m. start here. Forget about it. But when the races are back to like 11 p.m. start, which I think Emilia Romagna may be an hour before the race, I might try and do a little sneaky little stream. I would have loved to have had you there, but if you can't make it because you're in like Franco Cozzo's company, like it's fine.
No. So Emilia Romagna. No, that's fine because I don't go to Japan until a couple of days later. So yeah, let's shoot.
Well, we'll
for
see how we
that
go.
on the 21st.
Please watch all the channels. Watch
Please
the
please me.
tweeters and watch the Discord. But yeah, that's to say that those places that you want to go, there's this website that we've set up. Just a little website. Superlicense.fm. FDFM stands for Zach.
Frickin' magic.
Frickin' magic. That's where all the frickin' magic is, mate. No frickin' way. No frickin' way.
No frickin'
you want
way.
to go there, and all the links are there to the Twitter, to the Discord, and everything. Please come and jump in the Discord. It's started to pick up, and I'm really enjoying it. And like I said, if you want links to all those things, all those clips, I started posting in there. I thought this would be just a fun thing. Like when there's no races, just posting funny clips, old highlights and stuff. And that seems to be, people seem to be liking that. But then also during the race weekend, I'm like, well, maybe you missed qualifying. I'll just chuck the qualifying highlights and stuff in there. So I think that's going well. I think that's working.
Exactly. Okay.
So it's all getting lively.
It is. And I was going to do this earlier, but I think it might be nice to shove it in here. A couple of quick thank yous to some Super License F1 Formula One podcast. Well, that's the official name, right? I'm getting funny now. This happens after an hour or so of recording. I start wind my clock starts
especially
to
when the
wind
mic is as
down.
brown as yours is.
Oh God! A couple of shout outs. Drew Gordy,
Yes.
who's been a great supporter of the show this whole time and has always been lovely and kind of prompted a lot of those questions at the start and made us travel back down memory lane for all the good things, which is lovely to and kind of sparkly in my insights, which was nice.
I've seen kicking around here and there. Old mate Mike Nickus, still kicking, alive in Mike Nicken and Mike Kicken. But I mean, there's Tom and Florge keeping it real in the Discord as well, keeping it street, as some people say. Not me. Some people say that though.
Not you, definitely not you. Some early big creators in the Formula One online space when we first got into podcasting was definitely Karen V and old mate Roz as well.
Oh yeah,
if you're out there, thank you very much for your support and
Fernando
Steph
Campos
as well. Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
How are these for names?
Exactly. These are deep cuts, but that's because they cut deep into my heart.
That's true.
And so. Yes, they mean something to us, and that's what the show's about. They mean something to us, and hopefully it means something to you as well.
Yeah. Well, I hope that's done something for you. I hope that's killed some time for you while you're working or while working out, while you're outdoors, while you're hiking, doing whatever you do.
You're
That's why
hiking.
we do this. I'm Imagine that,
Amazing.
hiking, listening to this. Have you heard that podcast, actually, where there's just a guy hiking for like an hour? And then
does he huff and puff?
He does. It's huffing and puffing. It's like the swish and sway of his clothes, and you can hear people walk past sometimes. They might be like, "Hey, g'day." And then he sits halfway through up the mountain. He sits down, pulls out a piece of paper, and says, "This week's podcast is brought to you by Mailchimp. Mailchimp is. I swear to God. I swear to God. What a show.
They'll sponsor any old shit. Never sponsored
Exactly.
us.
Well,
Mailchimp.
I mean, they won't sponsor us.
Thanks for that. Did we ever get a what about the lawnmower crew, the ones with the men's shavers? Because that's what men need, shavers.
The weed
They
whackers.
didn't sponsor us.
No. Well, I mean, look, I mean, we don't get into this, but we've had actually lately a lot of offers for sponsorship, and we just never take them because it's like, why? I don't want $3. I'd rather just not read your ad. It's just not worth
there is
it.
only one sponsor I want. Okay, and that's Rich Energy. I want them to fully sponsor our show. I don't want to have to buy your energy drinks anymore. I want you to send them to me
I
for
would
free.
also, if Sports Illustrated want to sponsor the Super Quiz, that's a bracket that's also available. I will send you the rate card.
Oh man, yes. God, yes. We've never had to do that. Do the sponsored ad read. I think it would go sideways real fast.
Now that I think about it, you know what's driving me crazy is how many different Sky Sports products there are that they promote. And they're like, if you're a Sky One supporter, hit the red button. But if you're a Sky Glass supporter, hit
gotta be on
like
Sky
swirl the black button 5 times. And if you're a Sky Glass Eye supporter, you want to see what happens at the end of this race, skip ahead. And I was like, what the fuck? I just want to watch the race. I don't even have any of this shit.
Yeah, that's true. You don't even have any of those things.
But they're allowed to promote it on the world feed. It's just not right.
Well, maybe we should start our own world feed, and people wouldn't have to listen to the feed on their TVs. They could just listen
Not
to
a bad
us.
idea. Well, if we can kick off enough conversation in the Discord, then maybe people can entertain themselves in there. And you can just mute the TV, but you won't miss a single thing.
My nan used to do that with the football. She hated the
so good.
football commentators on the TV so much that she would put on 3AW and listen to the radio commentators over the TV, which I think is nice.
Let me tell you something. That's good living.
Yeah, it's real good living.
I hope you're living good. That's all we've got for you this week. Until next time, my name's been Rod.
And my name's been Zach.
Talk to you in about a month or so. Bye-bye.
Bye. Should we both do it?
We should.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah.